Good evening, and welcome to another scatterbrained version of Diatribes from the voice of doom. Now here's your scattershot and scatological host, voice of doom. Hello. Alright, I thought I'd do another diatribe. I was looking at my channel and I realized it's been 11 days. And I realized that sometimes I get into doing a lot of diatribes and sometimes I let it go. But that's what happens when you have 50 subscribers and then one person unsubscribes to go to 49 just when I reach a milestone. It's like, why do you leave when I only have 50 people? But whatever happens, I'm not concerned about that. I've been doing these diatribes since 2021, and I've yet to catch on in any way, shape, or form. And I like to think it's because YouTube hates me and doesn't want my truth to be disseminated to the masses. But I think it's mostly of my own making, that I haven't tried real hard to go beyond what I've always done. Primitive minimalism. I haven't changed a damn thing. There's some variations once in a while, but basically it's the same handmade placard, introduction, and talking off the top of my head. But I'm pretty good at talking off the top of my head at this point after I'm getting toward 600 videos. I'm up in 587 or so. And I don't care if people like me. I don't care if I get subscribers. I don't care if I go viral. Because nobody's going to care about anything very soon when there's no internet to speak of. Or everything's so regulated and unbelievable that nobody wants to watch anything anymore because everything gets time worn. I don't care. People can be as clever as they want on YouTube and make AI do all kinds of clever things, and that will be time worn. But I figure since I haven't done a diatribe, I'd touch on about 50 different subjects at once as it occurs to me. Microcosm, yeah, alright, I'm still living in 1895, where they just invented electricity, and, made it work, but they had no running water, and rather than commiserate, I know people think, how can you do that, because it's been, a few weeks now. I'm learning how to procure and use water very frugally, by hook or crook, any way I can. And it's interesting, it's a good learning experience, because maybe if the SHTFs and there's no water for anybody, I might have a leg up, although I won't, because I have ways of doing things. I can go to the store and buy bottles of water. I can go to a friend's house and fill up gallons of water. But still, your lifestyle, nobody realizes until they've done it how you have to think and how everything you took for granted is for naught. I'm trying now to figure out how I'm going to wash my dishes, which I've built up over 3 or 4 days, with a gallon of water, and make them come out halfway decent. So it's an interesting mind exercise, and I don't mind it. It's funny, I don't know why, but I know everything's coming to an end, and maybe my particular situation is a bit dire, but I'm pretty happy. And I think I'm learning somehow through whatever means, mostly chanting and being a Buddhist, but also Just using different methods, exercises, substances to make your life more positive. And I'm not talking about drugs in the strict sense of the word, because I know cocaine can make you very happy for short periods of time, but that's not a long-term solution. But there's ways. And I feel pretty good. I don't know why. I really have no reason to, but I think I'm learning that happiness is more than just having all your bills paid and having everything be hunky-dory and going on vacation. I can't really put my finger on it, but I'll keep you posted on how that works. It's a happiness that's, I don't know, kind of eternal in a way. But I don't want to go too much into that. So Benjamin's back for leave for about a little over a week, and I was glad to see him. And he left the next day after he got home on a road trip with his buddies to Vegas, and he's having a good time there, and I endorse that, and I'm happy he's doing it. I'm not the kind of guy that's like, oh, you should spend time with me all the time if you're home. He deserves to be with his buddies and just relax and have a good time. And I'm happy that he's doing that. And I kind of was doing a compare and contrast between my so-called youth, say between 18 and 30, and my kid Benjamin's. And there's differences that are stark. And I will say he was the kind of guy and is the kind of guy who is practical and figures out a way that he can make the most money to put and sock away and be able to do whatever he wants because he doesn't need much. And he went in the service and he's got all his bills paid for and he socks away money. And then when he wants to do things, he does them and he doesn't bat an eye about a few $100s for this or a few hundred, because he set himself up for that. Now me, I was always shooting pie in the sky and doing all kinds of crazy things and doing all kinds of things that may not be legal in the strict sense of the word to try to get ahead. And going to college for $2,000 for 4 years and getting a music degree that got me nothing, and joining bands and going and playing clubs. And I say we both had our paths, and I think my life might have been a bit more interesting as far as my youth because of the risk, because of the just being irresponsible. It makes for a certain pattern of life where you're always surprised by what comes next. You never know what's going to happen next. You might move 1,000 miles away. You might, change your job. You might lose your job for 3 months and be begging, living on your friend's couch, all kinds of stuff. But I'm proud of him, and I'm glad that he's able to have a more stable lifestyle than I did, because he didn't do a lot of crappy things that I did. But I'm rambling on for no reason. Let's talk about Orangey a bit, because I saw on Fox that he did a full hour interview with the panel on the 5. And I'm going to comment on Orangey a bit because he was, as usual, loquacious, verbose, bellicose, and honest. Kind of reminded me, I never saw the full movie, but I know the gist of Liar Liar with Carrie. And he couldn't, he was a lawyer and he was forced to tell the truth all the time. And it sometimes got him into trouble because he said what he didn't want to say. And there was another movie called Bullwinkle with Warren Beatty, I believe, back in the day. And he was a politician who told the truth to people, and people weren't used to hearing that. He was kind of like Orangey, and it's like he can't help but tell the truth. He says what he thinks, no matter what. He has not one sense of tact or decorum when it comes to his opinion. And his opinion inevitably revolves around whether people like him or not, because he is a benevolent narcissist. And there's no getting around it. He can't help but be a narcissist. How did I do in the polls? If the polls were bad for me, they're wrong. I didn't win this state. I could have won it if they didn't cheat. She doesn't like me, so I think she's a terrible person, or she's just a terrible person because she doesn't agree with my whatever. He doesn't hold back. He doesn't. And once in a while he's like, oh, she's all right. I'm sure she's a very nice person, but I hate her. I mean, that's his style. Because if you don't like him and agree with him, then he's not going to like you. I don't think he would take criticism real well. And that's the key to improvement. The key to improvement in your own life is to listen to somebody who says, you don't do this very well. And instead of going, oh, these guys are full of crap, I do. You think and go, well, why would he say that? Okay, let me think. How do I not do that well? Maybe, maybe I could do this better. That's one of the first things my Buddhist leaders taught me, was don't defend yourself. Because if someone criticizes you, whether it's warranted or not, you can always reflect. And not just automatically knee-jerk, oh, I'm great, I'm perfect, don't ever say. That's the problem with a lot of people, is they just can't take criticism. My wife was kind of like that. And so I learned to just not ever criticize. And usually everything worked its way around to where she criticized herself for what I was going to say anyway. And then I'm just like, oh, okay, if you say so. But Orangey, now, I worry because his overall presentation at the 5 interview was manic. And he was scattershot and scatterbrained. And I'm not saying scatterbrained like he didn't know his facts. Just saying he was just going from one thing to another, bum, bum, boom, 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 all over the place. And I don't think it's because he's on amphetamines. I think it's because he's high on his own serotonin. I mean, I think he's like a workaholic, and I don't think he gets a lot of sleep. And I think he always wants to talk to everybody about everything, and he wants to answer the phone no matter who calls, and he wants to solve every problem on earth all at once. And I think it's taken its toll on his psyche. So I would say, even though the D's will complain if he took a 2-week vacation, he's on vacation. Well, you hate everything he does. And now you're complaining because he's on vacation. But I think he could take time off after this Iran thing is resolved and relax for a few weeks. Because he's manic and he's all over the place. If you go to the Fox interview, you can't help but see it, and you can't help but see the looks on the, Jesse's and Gutfeld's and everybody else's faces, that he's just all over the place. But he's very entertaining, and he was very truthful, and he couldn't help but tell the truth, and people aren't used to hearing the truth. So they're going to hate that. But overall, it was all right. I don't have any animosity. I just think he should relax. Try to relax. Because otherwise he's just going to have a coronary one day or have a stroke. And then we'll be stuck with J.D. Vance, which would be actually okay. But never mind. Just finished the Jane Hawk series by Dean Koontz. It was written about 10 years ago. It was a great thing. You should read it. It's all about mind control and controlling the masses, creating a new utopia, and enslaving the common clay. And it's really good. But I finished that, now I'm starting this. I read it back in high school, but I want to read it again. I don't know if you can read it. Player Piano by Kurt Vonnegut. You know, high school and college fodder for us unwashed people that think we're literate, but, oh, you read Kurt Vonnegut? I read him when I was in 3rd grade. Okay, whatever. But it's Player Piano's about an automated society where machines do most of the work, and human beings are used either as just grunts who dig ditches, or engineers who are the top people, or military and guards. And then there's middle management who just kind of manages the bureaucracy, but just kind of like what we're heading toward, that people should be afraid of, that AI is slowly but very quickly taking over everybody's jobs. Makes me happy I'm a waiter, because you just can't replace that with a robot right now. And by the time they do, I'll be leaving here. So I didn't say anything. I'm sorry. I just wanted to do a diatribe, especially for my stalwart and very helpful fan, Nick, who has saved me. Very glad I started this diatribe so that I could know him and his wife, Patty, that they could help me. So, I'll leave it there. No, I might do another one, but as you can see, it's not necessary. Everybody's already realizing we're doomed. So for me to keep on preaching about doomology is futile. It's getting time-worn. And we'll wait and see what happens. It could be really... a lot could happen between now and the end of April. We'll see with Iran. I have a feeling I'll give you it. I'll go on. It's already too long. Iran's not going to capitulate, and Orangey is going to have to take over those islands, Karg, Kish, and the others, and more or less batten down the hatches along the coastline of the Straits of Hormuz, and possibly take out the infrastructure of the grid on Iran, which will cause untold problems for the populace, because unfortunately bullets don't need electricity. That's the main problem. Same with Cuba. You need the populace to be armed. So if they're going to send in ground troops, then send in some guns. And from what I understand, the Kurds might be our ground force in Iran, to be the people that attack. And the Kurds have a very good reason to do that, and they control a very large swath of territory, so they're nothing to be sneezing at. So I'll leave that there, kind of a cliffhanger. I can talk more about that later. But goodbye. It was nice seeing you again.